Welcome back, and this I guess is the video that we've all been waiting for, and this is the putting it all together video. So I'm going to go straight over to Visualization Turbo Projects, and I'm going to go into Happy Me, and I'm going to go into Build Images and Happy People, Horizontal, and we were working with the Resize 270. So I'm going to select all of these images. I can do this by clicking on the first image. I hold down the Shift key and click on the last image, or I can click on anything in that window and then press the Control key and the A key, and that selects all of them. Or I can simply use my mouse and select them all like that. So I'll click on the first one, and then I'll click on the last one. I'll select those and I'll copy them, and then I'm going to go to my final folder, final images, and I'll paste them in there. And I'm going to go back to my build images, and I'm going to go to resized, and I'm going to copy all of those, and I'm going to put those into my final images folder. And then I'm going to go to the final one, which is the vertical, resized, and I'm going to copy all of those. And I'm going to go once again to my final images folder, and I'm going to paste them. Okay, so here we have all of the Happy People images, and at this point you'll be selecting some of your own images that you prepared. So I'm going to go back to my build images, Happy Me, and I'm going to go into resized, and I'm going to select a few of these which I've decided to work with, those ones, and I'll copy those, and I'll go back to my final images folder again. Okay, and then I'm going to go and get some affirmations. And with the affirmations, you might work with only 5 or 10 or maybe even 15 affirmations on any one particular topic. You could start with 5, 8, and then build up on that as you go. The best thing to do is get started and get some in there. But for the purposes of demonstration, I've worked with quite a few in the Happy Me project, and I think all of these affirmations are quite pertinent, and I've included them in the Visualization Turbo packs. So I've made them in blue, and I've made them in mauve, and I've made them in yellow, and I made them in white, and the colored ones here you'll remember were the examples that I initially gave in one of the affirmations videos. So I'm going to select all of these. I'll just click in there, I'll hold down the Control key and the A key, and then I'll copy all of those, and I'm going to go back once more to my final images folder, and I'm going to paste. Okay, I now have a working folder of the stuff, that the images and affirmations that I'm going to be using in Visualization Turbo. So the next step is to go to Visualization Turbo and to open up, and I'm going to select all. So I just put my click on one, and then I hold the Control key and the A key, the Control key and the A key, and select all of them, and I'll open them, and you can see it's opened them all here in Visualization Turbo. So I'll just click on one, and I can scroll up here. Now I'll just run through a couple of little things that you're obviously already familiar with. If I click on the any of these images here, you'll see it come up in this window, but if you want to see what it actually looks like, you click on this window here, and that's how it's going to flash on the screen. So let's have a look at one of these images, and that's just a preview, and that's how it will actually look on the screen. Here's another one. Okay, so a few examples of how the images are actually going to show up on the screen for me, flashing. My inner child is happy now. Okay, and I've got Visualization Turbo set with my favorite settings. I like it every second, I'm splashing it for 15 milliseconds on this. It's random on screen. I've got a bit of transparency happening. It's in random order. I can test splash, and you can see there's a little flicking around on the screen here, so it doesn't really interfere with what I'm doing. I'm set to auto start with Windows, and obviously my language here is English, and I just click start and we're in action. And if you look closely at the screen, you can see the affirmations and the images flicking randomly across the screen, and I'll just let that run whilst I'm working on my projects. So there we have it, putting it all together. We've spent a little time together. We've created some great images with affirmations on. We've created some great affirmations and turned them into, you know, interesting images. And now we are putting all of this to work in our lives. Thanks very much, and I'll see you on a subsequent video.